Hey my scrappy friends, I wanted to do a quick tutorial on how I take brush script and then send it over to my computer and copy and scan it and then add it to a cut file. So I'm going to be doing this in a little short series. And I'll have a blog post explaining how I did this too as well for you to check out over at Clique Kits. But I thought it would be fun to show it too because it's one of those things that I think is useful if you don't know how to do. And it's just a fun little way to just kind of add a little bit of you to the cut files that Clique Kits offers. And so I thought it would be fun to take one of the cut files. There is one that is a sun, and I wanted to add some script font to it. So I think I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do it in two parts, but so I'm going to be adding the word sunshine, and I'm going to do that just in script font. And I'm not sure if I'm going to put "You Are My Sunshine" or something like that, or some other words, but if there's a sun, I was thinking of putting "You Are My Sunshine" and then just have the sun shine in the font, in the cut file. So you'll see how it all comes together, but let's do one step at a time. So I'm going to be doing the script font first, and one thing I will say is practice makes perfect. So if you're not liking how it's turning out, just, you know, grab another piece of cardstock or whatever. You could use cardstock, you could use watercolor paper, you could just use plain copy paper. I'm not a big fan of that one because I don't like the way that the water soaks into the paper, and also I find it warps a lot more. So I tend to use cardstock, but you could also use watercolor paper. That would also minimize how much it's warping, and that will just look better when you go to scan it, because when you're scanning it, you want your paper to be as flat as possible. I've just found with the copy paper, sometimes it really warps it and you don't get a clear image of how you would like it to be. So let's work together real quick and just kind of work on some font. I'm going to do it a few times. This is the one nice thing about doing it on one paper, but also you can add more than one word on here and then just decide to use whatever one. You can copy and cut out the parts that you don't like. I'm just using a regular paint brush. I like smaller, but we're going to try two different sizes. And I also have the paintbrush pens too, but I'm not sure if I'm going to end up using it because I think I want this medium size, and I think this should work. And I just basically, so I'm just going to do it once and just kind of get a feel for how I like it. I find that sometimes I like to do it more than once in a couple different ways just to get an idea. Like, so I'm not a big fan of how that S turned out. It's not really that much like my regular S's. And you can totally do this however you feel comfortable as far as brush script goes. You can do it all in capitals. You can add stuff like hearts. So I'm not really liking that at all. Let's try different. Now, one thing I have found is that I really like to use color, but I found that sometimes if you don't have a dark enough color, it just doesn't register on when it scans right into the thing. So remember that. Sometimes I find that just adding a different brush will get you a little bit of a different feel. And this is all just like preference. And if you don't like the way that your handwriting is when you do it, one, practicing definitely helps, because I've found that I might like it one way and then I go and I do it differently and then I don't like it. So I like to do it more than once, just so that I have a choice. Oh, this has way too much water. And so that's another thing to think about, is depending on how wet your brush is going to give you a whole different feel, right? So I could do it like that. And one thing, I know that if it's not dark enough, it's not going to, like I said, register when you scan it. So if you do use color like this, like I don't like that R at all. So one thing that I will do sometimes is I'll do it a few different ways, and then I'll come back and I will. Okay, now just to let you know that I don't usually keep my paintbrushes in my water very long, because it's not really that good for your paintbrushes. But okay, so I know I don't mind that. And I like the fact that when you do brush script font, it's not perfect, so I'm not going to make it perfect. So I'm just and you can do it as many different times until you get what you want. But I found that sometimes just by playing around with it too much, you're not going to get the complete look. So we're going to let this dry, and then I'm going to bring it over to my printer scanner, and I'm going to scan it. So like I said, I'm going to let it dry for a few minutes so that it's not wet and it doesn't get marks and it doesn't mess up. One thing to know is that there are a little bit of a lighter spot. So if you think that it's going to be too light, you can always come in really carefully and add some extra paint, but just know that if you're not careful, you could also add different, like mess it up too. So it's all on your preference and how perfect you want it to look. And so, but I think the fun part about adding your own brush script to stuff is that it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to look the same. So let's go and wait for this to dry, and then I'll see you in a bit. Hey, my scrappy friends, I am back, which was super quick, right? Thanks to editing purposes, right? Okay, so the next step that we are going to do is we're going to be taking the script font that I just did and adding it, changing it to a PNG, and then adding it into Studio. So the first thing that I need to do is go to my system preferences. Now this is, I'm using a Mac, so this will be a little bit different when you go to your own PC, if you have a PC, however your PC lists your different stuff. So you are going to be going into your printer scanner. So you need to have a scanner. My printer does both scan and print, so yay for that, because all I need to do is go into scanner and I just open the scanner up, and so it's going to do its thing, and depending on your scanner will depend on how fast this processes. So basically what it did is it just scanned it for me, but what I'm going to do is click on this and get on the inside. And I want it to be 300 dpi because I want it to be really nice and crisp and clear. And then I'm going to change it. I'm just going to upload it as a PNG. So you need to go to the scan or to the format section, and you need to switch it. You could do it as a JPEG, you could do it as a TIFF, or a PDF, but I want it to be a PNG. This is going to allow me to use it in various different forms, right? You can always switch it back and you can always rechange it. And I don't think I need to do anything else. I could change the size to whatever I want. So if I want to make it like an 8x5 or a 4x6, that would totally work too. I'm just going to do whatever size it is because it's not really that big of a deal to me, because I'm going to go ahead and change the size. So it's going to scan my document better this time, and it's going to upload it onto my desktop. You can see it right here. And that is it. So the next step that I need to do is close out of my printer and my scanner. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Silhouette. I've already opened up the cut file for Clique Kits for July. And this is just a sunshine with the different flowers. It's really fun and intricate, but I'm going to add You Are My Sunshine right in here. So what I want to do first is reopen up the PNG document that I just saved. So I'm going to go to my desktop because that's where I know that I put it. And I like to add stuff that I know I'm going to use right away to my desktop, but that's just me. And I found that that works better with a Mac. It's not always as helpful, and it doesn't always work. So it just depends. So then you just need to go in and find your document, your PNG, and here it is. So obviously it's small, but I can make it really big, and you can see all the different things. So you can see You Are My and all that, and all the different sunshines. I know I'm not going to use all of these, so I'm going to take different pieces and kind of split them up. I've done this quite a bit of times. I know I'm pretty sure I have a video that I've shown this last month, but yeah. So, but let's just re-go through it, and hopefully this will be helpful for you guys. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to cut out certain pieces, right? So I'm going to take my trace area, and I'm just going to put it over the piece that I want to trace. So you need to go select trace area, and I'm going to start with the You Are My, right? And obviously I have all this other crap, right? Okay. But we'll fix this. We'll take all this out. So I'm not so worried about that part. And if you look in here, you can see that because I use watercolor, it's not all filled in, and that's fine. All we need to do is go into you want to make sure high pass filter is selected, and you want to just slide your value slider until it's everything that you want to cut is going to turn yellow. And this is where we just hit trace. and it's going to trace everything. So you can see right here, that's what's going to get traced, and that is what would cut. So obviously we don't want all this other crap, right? So what we have to do to get it to come out is we have to go to release compound path, because this is going to separate all the little pieces, right? But we have to like click on each little piece to delete it. It takes a little while. I'm not going to lie. It is kind of the not so fun part about dealing with cut files. But if you learn how to do this, you can just move things around really easily and make it work. Now, here's one thing that is going to be a problem. And I know that I could probably fix it so much easier, but I am not a pro at the silhouette yet. So I could draw in a cut right here, which that will be semi-helpful, right? Okay, there we go. So now we have a nice curved mark here. Okay, so the next step that we need to do is just erase this part. So we're going to take the eraser. I'm gonna get up nice and close because I want to make sure that I don't get around here. And I'm just gonna erase this nice and simple, right? I just want to make sure that we don't, because we are going to be having this inside the sunshine, I don't want any pieces to be really funky. Now, if I was worried about it being perfect, I would smooth this out, but I am not going to. I'm going to leave it because this is part of, right, the fact that it's not perfect, right? So, okay. So we're going to go out of there. We're going to bring this part back up because we are using the You Are My, and then I want to use Sunshine, and I think I want to use this one. This one's not too bad, but I really like the S on this one, but I don't care for every single part of this. So there's different ways. I could go like up to the trace again, right? We're tracing again. Okay, it doesn't have to be lined up with this part because we already have that part, right? So we could do this and figure out, okay, now I could do a piece and just like take different parts from different parts. Actually, I don't mind that now that I see it like this. So what we're going to do is go like this. I don't really care for this part. So I think what I want to do is go like this and hit trace. And then I want to get rid of this because I don't care about that. And then I'm going to release compound path again. So I can come back in and delete that. I also want to delete this part. No. There we go. Delete that. Okay. So I can take now. Whoop, I can take this, make up a compound path. So it's just one. There we go. So the next step that I need to do is make this whole thing, oops, a compound path. There we go. But I want to do that with this whole thing. So I'm going to take the You Are My, and I'm going to make it a compound path, but I'm going, there we go. But I'm going to eventually, I think I'm going to take them apart. But we're just going to take this and we're going to, once again, make it oops. Now we're going to make it a compound path. So the whole thing is together. So I don't know if you can see it, but see, the whole thing's together. So we're going to take this, we're going to copy it, and then we're going to go over to our lovely thing. So this is going to be a big, like almost, 12 by 12 size. Let's get all up in here. And we're going to paste what we just took. Oops. I guess I'm going to have to, okay. Okay, so now that we have the cut file, so here's the outside of the cut file, but this is what it'll look like all cut. And then we have the inside, the scrimp font on the inside. We're just gonna fix it so that it fits perfectly in there. And obviously, depending on whatever you put for your script font, you can make it look however you want. I am going to put it up like this. Now, I was thinking about maybe separating the words and just kind of like, but I kind of like it like this. So I'm going to just take that, and then everything's all ready. So all we need to do is just send it to the silhouette. So I'm going to do that next part, and then I will see you back later once it's all cut and you can see me make a layout with this.